Here with me in spirit. That's all I could say. So, thank you guys for listening in every Saturday on Omega Radio Broadcasting Network for Marriage in a Minute. We really are appreciative of you listening in and supporting Omega Radio. We thank God for Omega Radio. We thank God for the opportunity to speak about marriage. But today, well, before I even go into today's topic on marriage, it's kind of cooling down if you guys can see that or feel that out in here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But if you're, wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying the weather today. Some places, you may be cold, some places may be warm, but whatever it is, just try and enjoy the day that God gave us. And we're here in Florida. I got a chance to play some basketball this morning without my wife because she's away at a function, and we usually play together. But I was missing that. But thank God for the opportunity today to speak on marriage on this radio station. We always look forward to that, and it's a passion of Michelle and myself to see marriages grow and strive, and that married couples enjoy their journey together. And God created marriage to be enjoyed, and He gives us the guide. But sometimes we fall off track because we go away from His plan and purpose for marriage. So, Michelle and I are here to kind of reinforce these things and share with you. We've been married for 22 years, so we kind of have. I don't want to say we are experts, but we have grown together so much in marriage through ups and downs that we know certain things that will help marriages. We also know things that will hurt marriages, and that's why we come together to share. So today's topic is on this word. It's really talking about getting this one word out of your vocabulary once you get married. And today's program is not only for married couples. It's really for singles planning to get married. Sometimes when you're out there and you're looking for someone to get married, to start a relationship with in marriage, you don't understand the journey that's ahead. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what's going to happen, but all you know is that you're gonna be happily living ever after, and that's the myth. That's the one of we did a program earlier. I think it was last month with marriage myths, where certain things that are said and we take it on and we believe them. We think that these things are gonna work, but marriage can be enjoyed, for a lifetime. But you're gonna have ups and downs, and that's the reality of it. Because God created marriage, but He also created us as Christians. If you're out there and you're not serving Christ, if you don't have a relationship with Christ, you may not understand what I'm about to say. But those who are serving Christ, that God tells us that we'll have trials, right? But He also tells us that we have to embrace them and we have to work through them because He allows the trials in our lives for good. I'm going to say that again. He allows trials in your life as a husband and a wife for good. You may not see the good right away, but you will see the good if you stick to it. Paul had a thorn in his flesh and he asked God to remove it. And God said, my grace is sufficient. So God's grace is sufficient for your marriage journey if you embrace what God is showing you. And He gives you the blueprint of how to be married. We get married and it's easy. But to be married takes sacrifice. So there's this one word that I'm urging you married couples to get out of your vocabulary once you get married. When you're single, this word is fine. But once you get married, if you plan to get married, plan to get this word out of your mind. And again, Misha and I, we've been through our ups and downs, and we know that this one word is the most dangerous word. And people may think it's divorce, but divorce is terrible. But this word actually leads to divorce. So if you get rid of this mindset from this word, then you will have a better chance of not going that divorce route. That word is mine, M-I-N-E. Think about it, mine. When I was a kid or when I was, a baby, whatever it is, everything is mine. Mine, this is mine, that's mine. When you get married, you have to think about everything as ours, right? Marriage and selfishness are enemies. Think about it. You cannot be married and be selfish at the same time. It just doesn't not work. And there's a verse that we oftentimes don't really think about when we get married. We get married and we don't remain married because we don't put this verse into action. It's Genesis 2, verses 24 to 27. It says, "That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife. And they," which is two, husband and wife, "become one flesh." Ponder that verse and then think about that word mine. Does it go together? And of course, I'm sure you realize it. Mine, everything being yours, it cannot work with this verse. It says, "That is why." Why? For the sake of marriage. A man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Now, I know the Bible emphasizes that the man is the one who leaves his father and mother. But the wife has to also leave the father and mother. Because if the husband only is doing that and the wife is not, it's still going to create a problem. Anyway, so oftentimes we get married and we ignore this verse, right? You can't ignore this verse because it's really the root of how marriage really goes, right? So we still have the mindset of mine when we get married sometimes, and that's the danger. So the law of marriage is that two become one. And by the way, for more in depth on that part of the marriage journey, check out our book, Staying Married, Becoming One Flesh. It's available on Amazon. And that's exactly what the book is talking about. If you love to read, you could get it in Amazon, or you could get it on our website, www.marriagevantagepoint.com. It's going to help your marriage. Staying married, becoming one flesh, right? But the thing is, when we're single, I make my own decisions on finances, on personal things, on schedules, on priorities, and it's fine when you're single because you have to make decisions. But when we get married, we cannot do that. You cannot be independent and selfish without your spouse being frustrated. If you're having this independent mindset and the mindset of everything is yours, your husband or your wife is going to become frustrated. That's just the reality of it. Because you're supposed to be in the marriage to serve your spouse, and your spouse in the marriage to serve you. So if you have a selfish mindset, you're not going to serve your spouse. You're going to be serving yourself. And that's the key that you have to think about. So you have to change that mindset from mine to ours when you get married. So again, if you're out there, you're planning to get married, plan to change your mindset. Years of being single and the things that you're doing alone, you're going to have to change that. So this is not to scare you from getting married, because marriage is beautiful. It has so many benefits, and we're going to go into that another time as far as the benefits of being married, because it's really a great thing to get married. But just like a red flag to show you that when you get married, you're going to have to switch from mine to ours, right? So you strive to get into an agreement together. That's basically what it is. And there's a verse that proves that. Amos 3 verse 3 says, "How can two walk together except they be in agreement?" So if you are married and you are planning to have this journey with your spouse that's beautiful and enjoying each other, you have to plan to agree on things as much as you can. You're not going to agree on everything, of course, but for the most part, you have to strive to be in agreement, because that's what the Bible says. If Michelle is okay, I'm okay. Sometimes we have our little fights, and sometimes we have big fights. And, sometimes Michelle is just upset, and, when she's upset, I can't be happy. If I'm upset, she can't be happy, because we're one flesh. So that's the reason why, if she's upset, I'm not well until the marriage comes back together in peace and joy and love, right? So if I don't need it, we don't really need it. So if I or Michelle doesn't need something that, we plan to buy something and for the family, for the home or whatever, and it's something that we don't really need, we're just buying it for frivolity, if I make a decision on my own to get it and don't talk about it and come into agreement with it, it's going to cause a problem. That's what that means, all right? It's not about you or me. It's about us. It's about you and your spouse, right? You will never be happy as a selfish person while married, and neither would your spouse. You know, again, you may think that when you get into marriage, you're going to be all happy because you're doing your thing and you're enjoying your life and you're making all this money and you're spending your money and and as opposed to ours. You're not going to be happy. There's going to be conflict after conflict. So you can avoid that, you know, and that's the thing. So marriage and selflessness are like twins. Marriage and selfishness are enemies, but marriage and selflessness go together. Selfishness digs the hole to divorce, but selflessness takes you out of that hole. So right now, if you're going down a journey where your marriage is in trouble and you realize that you're going in a hole and you're heading to divorce, become selfless. Get rid of self. Start serving your spouse. Start, finding out from your spouse, what can we do to change the situation? Because it's all about, making things right. And a lot of marriages right now are heading to divorce. But it can change. If you just make that change in your mind and try to get each other on the same page. So I remember once I was washing my van and I was thinking about our problems that we were having in our marriage, Michelle and I felt like, she was the problem, so to speak. And I was speaking to the Lord and I said, Lord, why aren't you changing her? And the Lord spoke back to me and said, because I'm changing you. And that's when I realized, you know what? I play a role in the marriage too for whatever is happening. Michelle wasn't the only one who was, wrong. I was wrong too. So basically, you have to think about how you are reacting to your spouse and not think about yourself all the time. So get rid of that mind mentality. Your marriage will shift once you get rid of that different, you have that different mindset. So guess what? I'm going to encourage you guys to do the right thing, even when your spouse is doing the wrong thing. You do the right thing by serving your spouse. That's the only way your marriage is going to really, really be enjoyable. It will also change your spouse when your spouse see that you're serving them selflessly. All right, guys. We're at the end of our program, and I thank you guys for listening to Marriage in a Minute every Saturday. I hope this segment really encourages someone out there, a couple out there, huddle up together and think about each other and not just self. All right. Check our website, www.marriagevantagepoint.com. Enjoy your evening. God bless you guys.
All right, Omega Radio listeners, you were just tuned into Marriage in a Minute here today. We do hope that you enjoyed today's segment and that you'll tune in next week Saturday at the same time of 3:30 to 3:45 p.m. right here on Omega Radio. And of course, we would like to thank the Hyatts for being a proud sponsor of the Omega Radio ministry. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure you tune in next week Saturday.
From this moment. Hey, radio listeners, this is Michelle Hyatt.
And this is Karim Hyatt,
host of Marriage in a Minute. Tune in every Saturday at 3:30 p.m. right here on Omega Radio Broadcasting Network for encouraging words on marriage.
And listen, guys, check out our new website, www.marriagevantagepoint.com. And remember, you are the MVP in your marriage.
From this moment. You're listening to Omega Radio. If you're blessed by Omega Radio and Church Ministries, please consider supporting Omega Ministries. Go online to omegachurchradio.com. There are two ways to give, Cash App or Zelle. Cash App ID is $WOIB1019. Zealous at 954-773-4444. Or you can write us at 11030 Wiles Road, Coral Springs, Florida, 33076. Thank you for your support. And if you would like to promote your church or businesses on this radio, please call the office at 954-773-83.